All right, so George from Mission Valley asks, during the Vietnam War, the South Vietnamese most commonly used M16s and M1 carbines supplied by the US. Name one of the three most common French guns the South Vietnamese used before being armed by the US.
What was that, George from Mission Valley?
Yeah.
Yes.
George, thanks very much for writing in from Mission Valley, which I have been confidently assured is a real place.
Yeah.
The question is about French arms used by the South Vietnamese in the Vietnam War. For the uninitiated, this might sound like a weird question, but because many Americans' knowledge of the Vietnam War starts in about the early to mid 60s when U.S. involvement began to ramp up and ends in about 1973, 1975 when we pulled out. But outside of the U.S., it was called, and before the U.S. became involved, it was known as I think it was the Second Indochina War, second or third, I think it was the second. Because it's Vietnam's colonial name under France, which was its colonial power, was French Indochina. So, like any colony, all the arms that were there before the French basically got their butts kicked and pulled out and handed the problem over to us, all the weapons were French. So the French were there occupying Vietnam through the 50s and I believe early 60s. The small arms you would have encountered there would probably have been France's standard service rifle at the time, the MOS 49 56. They may have also had, now I'm just sort of shooting from the hip here, no pun intended, because I'm not really an expert on French colonial occupations, but I would advise that they had a decent number of MOS 36s left over in inventory from before and during World War II that they just had as second line arms for gendarmerie and security forces. And they also had a large number of, what are they, MOT 49 submachine guns, the ones with the weird folding magazine well thingy.
Well,
So
that is a very good answer. So the South,
I think he knows a little bit.
yeah, he's a smart guy. The South started out with French weapons like the MOS 36, 44, and 49.
There you go. Tell us about the MOS 36. What was the MOS 36?
The MOS 36 is a action service rifle. I don't know too terribly much about it other than it's chambered for the then standard 7.5 French cartridge. They tried to replace it with a semi-automatic rifle, the MOS 40, but something happened to France in 1940 or thereabouts that got in the way of small arms production.
Yeah.
So they weren't able to field a large number of those. They mostly had MOS 36s until after the war. When they began to replace them with semi-auto rifles.
Unfortunately for
MOS
the
49,
South Vietnamese, they were French, so they were never used and dropped once, right?
Okay. Keep in mind that the French army in its various incarnations has won more battles than that of any other country in history.
I will never respect the French. It just won't happen. Not on this show. Not on my watch. Okay, that is a perfect answer. You did a wonderful job. Awesome. My apologies to the French. You guys are fine. Jeez, I love your fries and your dressing and your bread. So, but yes, the MOS 36, the MOS 44, and the MOS 49. All right, cool. You got a blog coming up?
Real quick, something interesting about the MOS 49, which is it has design heritage from the 44 and the 40. It is a direct impingement rifle, which was not really common at the time and is still not super common other than the AR platform. But it's really more of a pure direct impingement operating system than the AR-15 and AR-10. The AR-15 bolt carrier has a gas expansion chamber inside of it. That's why it has gas rings. So you'll hear people call it an internal piston system. As opposed to pure direct impingement. But you always have to add that qualifier. Well, it's properly called internal piston because it has an expansion chamber in the bolt carrier right before someone shoves you into a locker for trying to clarify that. But the 49 is an actual, like, real pure direct impingement system. So I don't know. I just think that's neat.
That is neat. So that was probably a big advancement at the time?
Yeah, people were still trying to figure out what gas systems and what locking systems worked the best. And so that one, most of the other early generation self-loading military rifles used some kind of external piston. The M1 was a long stroke gas piston. The piston is connected to it's part of what would be a bolt carrier, but it doesn't enclose the bolt. The Russians were experimenting with short stroke piston systems, but the Liongmen and the French rifles are the only ones I know of that are actually guy.
Nice. All right.
I'm curious.
Yes.
Sam, were you on when we had Frytech guest on?
Did you
Say again?
share a guest that we interviewed?
No.
No, I just logged in a few minutes ago. All right.
I'd be really curious to hear Sam's take on the magnet.
Yeah,
concept.
the buffer
Yeah.
the buffer tube. He developed an AR buffer tube that doesn't use a spring. It uses magnets to and
Lighten the recoil.
there you go.
Yeah, we should send Sam the video and get his take on it next week.
Yeah.
Magnets are cool. I like a good magnet as much as an X guy.
There you go. All right. I'm not even going to try to say that any better. That was said perfectly. Magnets are cool. What about your blog? You got a blog coming up?
My most recent blog post was the one about how to read executive orders.
Yeah.
Assuming I got my dates right, let me just check it, because I schedule these in advance, so I get mixed up as to which one just went up. But my next one, no, it was the This Is My Rifle. Those of you who've been following the blog and listening to me yammer on will know that I work as a freelance writer, and I do a lot of stuff for Leatherneck Magazine, the magazine of the Marines. And so this 2025 is the 250th anniversary year of the Marine Corps. And for that, they've been doing one issue, each month's issue focuses on a particular time span in the history of the Marine Corps. So I've been doing a series of little short pieces, like something you'd see in a Jane's Recognition Guide, if you're familiar with those, about the iconic long arms that Marines carried throughout the history of the Corps. And the most recent one that went up is about the M1795, which was the first standard U.S. military long arm to be produced domestically. And it was a copy of a French gun. So there you go.
The
Full
French.
circle.
There they are again. Oh, man. Was that their best invention?
Well,
The French?
it was good enough, but I will say that all of the Charlevilles they shipped to us to fight the British, they gave because they had just gotten better stuff for themselves.
Yeah, see, the right answer is their best invention was, of course, the French kiss. That was their best invention.
All righty.
All right, let's move on.
You're not wrong.
I would say their best invention was smokeless powder. That's a big one.
Did they invent that?
Yeah,
Is
they
that really
invented
better than the
smokeless
French
powder.
kiss, though? I don't know.
I don't know. I've used smokeless powder, so it's pretty good. I don't know about the other thing, but I don't know if this counts as an invention. But Antoine Lavoisier discovered oxygen. He figured out that air is a mixture of gases. So it's not an invention, but it's an important contribution.
It is. I guess it is. You're right.
The depth of your knowledge amazes me.
All right, let's go on. Okay, so here's. Hey, everybody, thanks for watching. I'm Michael from Gun Owners Radio. If you liked what you saw, please don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and make a comment. Help us out. Go to gunownersradio.com. Thanks for watching.